fantasy, caught in a landslide, no escape from reality.
Okay, so I'm finally going to get to do this review. It's taken me all day to try to do it because I keep getting busy at work, and I also keep getting attacked because tolerance. So just a quick update here. Twitter likes does not directly correlate to dollars earned. So people can't seem to understand that if you get 50 likes on Twitter, that doesn't actually make you correct. That just means there's 50 other dumb people. Or people that didn't even read your tweet and just follow you and hit like. There's always that. There's not a reference that says you have to read this. But anyway, so I'm finally getting to do this review, and it's been a long time coming. It's Transformers versus Visionaries. We knew this was coming. Visaggio's book. It's one of her major books. You know, it's not really a major company, so to speak. It is, but it isn't. IDW, but I mean, they did lose 91% of sales last year. So, anyway, this is the new book, the new Transformers book, Transformers versus Visionaries. The cover is extremely graphic, but not so much that I care because that's a robot, it's not a person. So, it's all cool. Now, if she had that like stuck to the back of somebody's head and it was a person, I might, you know, be a little bit upset about it. But, let's get into this a little bit. I'm going to try to read this. Some of the writing is very small. DNC may have said something about this, but it's not a huge problem. It just may be a little bit of an issue if you're reading it regular. Now, when I'm reading it digitally, when I was first reading it, I could read it pretty well. But now it's a little bit shrunk, so we'll see how this goes. Basically, what they do is they tell you who's writing it. Magdalene Visaggio, Fico Ocio did the art, and the colors by David Garcia Cruz. The artist is very good, very good. The only problem is this Visionaries characters, they may be based in 80s, like 90s and 80s stuff like that, and that's why their outfits look like they do. Some people don't like it because it looks overly complicated, like all the other SJW books that are out there. The characters be like just overly complicated with their armor and their haircuts and everything like that. It's just really weird. But if this was a 90s or 80s based character, I could see that because they're trying to play off of the old style and bring it into the new ones, because even the Transformers look like the original Transformers. So, you know, I could see that. They go over the characters, and then we get into this. And basically what has happened is these group called the Visionaries, their planet died, and I don't know what happened, but their city got transported there. Maybe they brought it there, and basically tried to take over Cybertron and convert it into magic and make their new planet. Well, when that failed, the leader was captured, and so at that point there's a refugee city underground of the Visionaries, all that's left of them, basically like that little city of Krypton that was in the Fortress of Solitude that was shrunk down. And so here we are. I mean, they've got the Visionaries in their own little city. You got the rest of Cybertron. There's a lot of hate back and forth because they were just fighting earlier, and so now they've allowed the Visionaries to live there for some reason, but they're keeping them inside that city that has a force field around it, and they've allowed the Visionaries to keep the leader there for some reason. And so now we're getting into it, and basically what we have is we have Ironhide and Cup has come to visit the city. They want to talk with the people and kind of, you know, get some relations back and forth with them. And so at this point you also have the Visionaries having a meeting. Now, this is one problem that I have in the story because, you know, of course they don't know about it, but if I was a Transformers, I would not be letting the leader that was just captured have a meeting with the rest of the leaders of that city. That is a straight up spell of trouble right there. And you got to think that the robots are a little bit smarter than that. But basically they're talking about what they're going to do, and you have a couple people that are more lenient, and then you have another faction of people. The leader of the Spectral Knights are more easygoing. But then you have the Darkling Lords, which is another group of Visionaries, and they're not. They're straight up to their name. They love to fight. They love to take things. And then you have the leader of New Primus there, and you also have the rest of the people. And they're all talking about what they need to do. And the Veroluna, the woman with the mental illness haircut, she is not having it. She does not want to have any relations with these Transformers. She wants to just take them over, just kill them and take the planet like they meant to do before. So they don't get anywhere with their discussion. And then Ironhide and Cup walk in. Now Cup is a veteran. He's kind of like Pup, or Hound, not Pup, Hound. Remember Hound? He was kind of always in the original show. It's kind of like Cup. Cup's been around for a long time. So the Spectral Knight leader and the Darkling Lord leader are both talking as they're walking down the hallway. And she says, "You heard Merklin." He said, "Yes, I did. And Merklin is a war criminal. We shouldn't be treating him as a prince anymore." Exactly. And then she says, we're the protectors of Primus. That means we have a duty. And he says, that isn't a word you or the rest of your Darkling Lords get to say. Because not only have they been fighting the Transformers, they've been fighting each other, because the Spectral Knights and Darkling Lords don't even get along. So they're warring people amongst themselves. Now, you get to this point here where the Darkling Lord here, she is out for blood. She wants to fight. And when this guy doesn't listen, she gets ticked. So then we cut to the point to where they're going to meet the Transformers that showed up. And Pup plays a joke on them. He pretends to speak another language. And, you know, kind of mess with them like they can't understand him. And then Ironhide is so embarrassed, he's like, he said hello. And so then we cut to another scene. We have two more Transformers, Wheeljack and Breakdown, that are coming. And as they get to the entrance, they actually notice a crack in the ground that has energy coming out of it. And when Breakdown touches it, it latches onto him and instantly starts disintegrating his body into dust. So Wheeljack quickly cuts his arm off and is able to save him. But whatever this energy is coming from that city, they're very vulnerable to it. So then they're having their meeting. You have the Darkling Lord and the Night Guy. They're both talking to Hound and Ironhide. And they have this long discussion. Cup's very diplomatic. He's been around a long time, so he says this very long speech about, you know, we're trying to befriend you guys. We're going to give you all this, blah, blah, but we need a discussion with each other, da, da. And she's not having it, so she jumps up and says, "That's it, we're done." And he says, "Excuse me?" She says, "Excuse yourself. You're proposing to hold us down here with our throats under the knife. We had a word for that in Primos. Hostages." And he says, "You don't understand." And she says, "I understand perfectly." So you can tell she's out for blood. She doesn't want to be friends. She wants to kill them and take it. So it doesn't matter to her. And then that's when Ironhide jumps in and says, "Hey, you staged a botch invasion, lady. Be grateful we're offering you anything." And that's my thing. If these people don't want to listen, they should have been, you know, taken out and arrested immediately. If they don't want to have any peace, then they're gone. Sorry. You defeated them. You get to judge what happens. That's the way it goes. So anyway, the other Knight leader talks to her and tries to calm her down. She says, "That's a problem with you Spectral Knights. You always fetished peace over strength. Leoric, we are going extinct, and you'd be content with letting them lock us up in a zoo." So see, you can tell she doesn't want to have any friends with anybody. And that's when Ironhide gives her a good talking to. And then we cut to the next point where Ironhide and the Darkling Lord Knight just walks off in disgust. And all you have left is a Leoric guy and Ironhide sitting there, or Cup sitting there talking to each other. You know, they're the more even-tempered people. And then basically they're saying, you know, for the sake of both of us, I hope that we're able to come to an agreement. Because, you know, they want to live in peace. They want to have that. And these other people just don't. So then at that point we see the old leader, and now he's by himself and he can speak freely. And he says, none of this was intended. The trinary realignment that set all this into motion was supposed to be permanent when he was trying to basically terraform the planet. He says, magic has receded. I was a pathetic little joke, a sad holdover of an ancient religion. Because I wanted to make a new future for us, for myself. This is still my goal. This will always be my goal. Cybertron reeling from war, ripe for renewal. So he knew all along. Because earlier he was talking about, hey, this planet wasn't supposed to be inhabited, you know. This was supposed to be easy. He knew all along. He just wanted to come in there and take it. And it's still his plan. He's evil. So then we cut to the monastery of the Darkling Lords. The Darkling Knight, Veroluna, is talking to the leader. And she's basically giving him a skewed story of what happened. She's trying to tell him that the Transformers are trying to kill them and take their land. And he said the Cybertronians weren't willing to let us stay. And she said they offered us a tenancy. We might as well be their prisoners for all the restrictions that they want to impose. And New York is willing to just roll over and let them. She's got a smirk on her face when she says this. She says, we're always going to be at the Cybertronians' mercy as long as we remain. He says, perhaps Lady Veraluna, and perhaps not. Or Veralina. It's hard to say her name because the font's so small. They draw her kind of pretty, and from one angle she looks pretty, and then when she turns around and you see the shaved head, it kind of messes with you a little bit. They draw very full lips on her, very pretty. And so he basically tells her the plan of how they know that the magic affected one of the Transformers, and they know that they're vulnerable. And she says they might be vulnerable to the rest of the magic too. If that's true, we can take the planet in mere months. And he says, even less. So, there you go. And then we get to the point to where they're trying to help the Transformer that was injured, but at the same time they also run a scan on the city, and they notice that the city is actually drilling to the center of the Earth. And there's only a matter of time before it gets to the Earth and reforms it, or the center of Cybertron, and reforms it, the energy into their own magic. And that's not good for the Transformers that run on energy. So after this, they think that maybe the Visionaries are still deceiving them. So they go about it a pretty peaceful way. They go back and talk to the Knights again. And he says, so we have a situation. And they say, what kind of situation? He says, well, I don't want to accuse anybody, but the city is actually drilling into the ground. And, it's going to get our, our core. It's going to mess our core up. And she says, oh gosh, she says, of course it is. It knows we deserve more than this little cave. It's trying to complete its mission and deliver us to the entire planet. What an obedient little puppy it is. And that's when Ironhide just is not having it. He throws the table down, and she attacks him. And jumps through the air with her blade, and Cup saves him at the last minute and gets stabbed through the chest with the magic staff. It's very graphic. It's very sad. He screams out in agony, and she said, consider this a warning, Transformer. Cybertron will be ours. And I was like, oh no, they killed Cup. I mean, it's tragic, very tragic, and now you don't know what's going to happen. This is an act of war. And so then the story ends, but you actually get a backstory of Cup. You get the whole origin of where he came from, what he's been through up to this point. So then you're even sadder when he's gone. And then we see the cover for the next issue. And I don't know about you, but that kind of looks like Megatron to me. So I think Megatron may be attacking the Visionaries for long. He may also side with them. You never know. But it would be awesome if he teamed up with Autobots against the Visionaries. But you never know how it's going to go because it's Megatron. But so I read this book. It's by Magdalene Visaggio. I'm pretty sure everybody knows my distaste for Magdalene and her purse puppiness and everything that's going on. And I went into this book. I tried to give it a fair chance. And after reading it, I kind of like it. Some people's going to get mad at me about this, but I kind of like it. Here's the deal. It's got a good story. It's got good character art. The descriptions of the characters are very childish. I get that. They classify Cup as been there, done that, so that's kind of silly. And they put a couple other ones in there that are kind of cheesy. But I don't know that Mags really had anything to do with it. I think that's just the silly IDW people. So I can't really count that against her or him or whatever. But I got news for you. This is a pretty good book. I know there's a lot of people out there that didn't like it, but if you go based on just what the book is, there's a fair amount of action in here with the suspense. It's a building book. It's building suspense the entire time. You see things going a certain way, and you're like, this is about to get to a head. And then the evil woman there attacks Cup at the last minute of the book and leaves it on a cliffhanger, which is actually pretty good. And now we have a character. I think Mags is in his or her niche right now because he keeps trying to write these psychotic women as heroes, and I think he's better off writing them as villains. And whether that's a direct correlation to his personality, I don't know. But he writes a lot better villain than he does a hero, because this lady is straight up crazy. And it's good for this because she's a Darkling Lord, I mean, or Darkling Knight or whatever. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, you guys may not want to hear this, but I did. I liked the book. I thought the art was pretty good too. I thought that the female character, even though she's got the crazy haircut, was pretty hot. And I also thought that the lion, I call him the lion dude, that L'Oreal guy or whatever, I thought he looked pretty cool as well. The style of his uniform and the way his hairstyle and everything was. I know Mags had made some kind of rough comment about him or whatever being hot or something, but I mean, it's a pretty darn good artwork and a pretty decent book. Now, this may not be directly because of her. I mean, it may be because she got some help on this book, or it could be that this is the right kind of niche for her as far as villains go with female characters. I don't know. Um, but I don't want to discourage anybody from it because it's actually a decent book. So you might want to give it a shout out. But anyway, I know this is going to make a lot of people angry, but I read it and liked it. Oh well. On to the next one, guys. I'll talk to you later. Underground Geek out.